Hey folks, it's Nate, and today was going to be the day that I started working on my bumper build, but to be honest, I'm just not feeling all that well, and I don't think I'll be able to heft that big bit of steel around. So what I am going to do is I have the pieces that I need to fix the flash problem on my turn signals that I got when I put in the LED taillights. So, I'm going to do that today because it's a relatively light lift, literally, compared to that. And, well, I should really get it done anyway because inspection's due on the Jeep in March. Today's March 1st, so I should probably get that done. Step one of this little project is to get to the existing flasher module. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. The flasher module in the older TJs, that is pre-01, is actually a really simple mod. The flasher module is on the firewall inside of the Jeep, pretty much like above where the gas pedal is. And you take it out, and there's a lead you can literally cut, like just break it with a screwdriver because it's on a printed circuit board. And then once you do so, the flash problem is gone. The way it's described to me is that built into the flasher module, so there's lots of theories as to why you get hyperflash, but the one that makes the most sense to me is that there's literally a circuit built into the flasher module that is meant to notify you when you have a burnout bulb. So the problem is that the LED taillights have such low resistance, which is a good thing, that the flasher module thinks your bulbs are burned out. So it does the hyperflash thing to let you know, hey, your bulbs are burned out. Problem is they're not burned out. It just can't tell that there's LED taillights there. So what you do is on the previous model TJs, you would simply isolate that part of the circuit by breaking that one lead. There's an article on Stu Off-Road about how to do so. I can link it in the description. So if you're here with a previous to 2001 TJ and your flasher module is behind the sort of the driver's console above the gas pedal on the firewall, then that'll probably work for you. All you do is you break that lead and off you go. In my case, I've got an 05 LJ, and 01 to 06, I guess, was the last year of the TJ. Sorry, my brain's not working straight. They changed the flasher module. Now it's located on the top of the steering column, which I'll show you how to get to in a minute. And it's not as simple. The hyperflash relay or the hyperflash circuit can't simply be isolated. You have to actually bypass it with a relay. And Stu Off-Road also has an article on that, which I will link, and you can read all about it. Basically, what you do is you get this tiny little relay, and you patch it in to basically work around some circuitry on the existing flasher module. So we're going to try to do that, assuming that when I get inside of my column, that's actually what I find. Should be, but we'll see. So to get to where you need to in the steering column, you basically have to get this panel off. And to get this panel off, there's two screws down here on the bottom. Let's see. Right here is one hole, and there's one right on the other side here. I've already got one of the screws out. The other one is loose but didn't come out. So it'll probably fall out at the least opportune moment. And then basically this should lift off. So I'm going to try to get that done. Okay, so it worked exactly as expected. What I ended up having to do is just take a screwdriver or something, pry these apart. Now the top is loose. Should just come right off of here now. Like so. So now that it's out, sorry for the lighting in here, I think right here is where that relay is, under this tape. Not sure why it's taped in here. Guess that means I should tape it back in when I do it, huh? Made in the USA. .SAE. This sounds like the right thing. So, yeah, what I need to do now is get this open. So I'm going to take you over to a workbench where we can try to do that. Okay, so what we have to do here is get this popped open. That wasn't so bad. And there it is. So, basically what I'm told, or what Stu says, Stu Off-Road, is that the relay has to fit in right here. On top of these, whatever those components are, I don't know what they are. They need to patch into, well, let's look. There you go, Stu Off-Road. So there you go. We are right there. He basically deconstructed this a bit by removing this relay and this capacitor so that he could better get access to what he needed to. I may do the same thing because this looks like it's going to be kind of hard to get into otherwise. I will note that you should be comfortable with a soldering iron to try to attempt this. That's how it's supposed to look when it's finished. But basically what we're supposed to do here's my new Radio Shack relay. Part number 2750241. He's basically going to go in here. Alright? If I don't drop him and break him. And then... Come on. He gets patched in here. So that goes to here. Then you jumper this to this. And then run this to here. And then you also jump this second lead here to this resistor underneath here. See, there's two right underneath this capacitor. And that's going to be hard to get to with the capacitor in the way. The rest of it I think I can do without removing this relay. This is the factory factory turn signal relay. So, guess there's nothing else for it. I got to start getting to work here. Solder and desolder. Yay. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to remove this guy so he's not in the way. So I can get to the resistors I need to get to patch into. So to do that, it's really not that hard. Basically this capacitor, I need to remember which direction he was in here. I need to remove the solder from this joint and this joint, and then it should pop off. Theoretically. So what I have here is a little helper here. It basically holds my workpiece for me. My little solder sucker. And my soldering iron's all warmed up. So let's see if we can do this. Okay, so in case you can't tell, what I did is I bent this lead upward. So it's kind of straight up and down. And I should be able to heat this up and pull this component up. I may even just leave the other end connected. I don't really have to disconnect it, right? I just need to get this lead out of the way so I can pull the whole thing up. If I'm careful and don't break the other lead, that should be okay. I think. Question is how to get that done. Ha! Look at that, it came right out. Handy. Guess I did a better job than I thought desoldering it. Okay, I'm going to be really careful. Bend it up. Okay, that should give me enough room. This lead here is the one I need to patch into, if I remember correctly. So I need to get to this guy, which will be a little tough with this in the way, but that'll be workable. Need to get to this guy, I think it was, and this guy here. So I think what I'm going to do is attach leads to those that I need to patch into. Then I'm going to hot glue this guy in place here so he doesn't move around. And then once he's hot glued, I'll attach all the leads. I think. Yeah, I should have enough room to do that. I hope. All I'm going to do is try to put the jumper on here first. The one that goes from this lead to that. Let's make sure before I do it. Yep. Or is that cold? Sorry, guys. So yeah, 4 leads shouldn't be a bad thing. I'm going to put that jumper on, and then we'll go from there. So, I happen to have tweezers to help me with this. Sorry if you don't. Little leads are sharp, poking into my thumb. You got to make sure that you don't have any stray strands here touching leads they're not supposed to, because even one little strand will be a problem. Okay. You can't see now, but I need to be able to position this the way I need to position it here. Now you might remember we need to go from here back to the board. So I'm going to solder this, but then we're going to patch in a second lead. So I want to make sure there's room for it. Okay. I don't have an easy way to hold this thing, so I'm just going to put it on the bench and hope for the best. Now, you've seen me solder before. I like to take a little bit off of here, coil it up in my hand because it's easier to deal with than holding this whole spool. Some people just hold the whole spool. I'm not that person. Those people are heathens. I'm kidding, they're not heathens. Okay, so first I'm going to move my phone so I don't get solder spatter all over the screen. That would be a bad thing. First thing to do is tin the tip of this thing with a little bit of solder. I need a new tip for this soldering iron, so sorry if anybody that knows what they're doing is going, oh my god, that tip is terrible, because it is. But there you go, it's tinned. Now, the idea here is to heat up the piece and draw solder into it. You don't necessarily just blob solder on there because that doesn't really help. So the goal here is to heat up. I'm going to have to hold this somehow. Can I fit it in my little clip? Holy crap, it fits. Kinda. Will it stay is the question. Hope so. You need to get a little bit of pressure on there to get the heat to transfer. Now my tinning is dulled. Alright, now you take the tinned part of the tip, put it there because that transfers heat the best. And it shouldn't take long, a couple seconds, and you should be able to draw solder in. Sometimes. There we go. What you don't want to do is overheat the relay. Now the relay is probably pretty robust, but a lot of pieces, if you overheat them, they'll actually damage whatever component you're working on. So I'm going to put a little more in there. It doesn't look like there's quite enough. There's one. There's two. Now you'll notice on Stu Off-Road's site that all of these links look a little kind of melty. You'll see mine's getting the same way. The heat from the solder does damage the casing on the wire. It's just the way it is. Not too bad. You'll see that the solder is still kind of shiny. If it's really dull, usually means you have what's called a cold joint and it doesn't contact well. In this case, I think it's okay. So that's one jumper that we need to put in. Now the rest of them go from the board to here, from here to the board, and from here to the board. So what I'm going to do next, like I was saying, so I'm going to get these leads on here, and then I'll solder them onto the relay. Okay, so got my leads cut up here. I'm going to try to get them where they need to be, which could prove to be more difficult than it sounds. I basically want to loop around this guy, this upper resistor here that's underneath this big capacitor. I want to loop around this guy up here, and I think this third one in, all with separate leads, of course. Now again, it's important that you don't short anything you don't want to short here. When you're working with stuff that's this close together, it's easy to do. Maybe I should have removed this thing completely. It's kind of in my way now. So this is where disconnecting the or desoldering the whole old relay would have been helpful to get in here properly. We'll get it, I think. Okay, now the question is going to be, can I get in there with the soldering iron and the solder? It should be fun. Oh, still pretty well tinned. Now what you don't want to do is make so much heat that you desolder the piece, the component that you're dealing with. So I got to be careful of that. I'll just check all the connections on the bottom then when I'm done. This works better. Where's the tinned side? Now you may be wondering, can I avoid all this work and just buy a flasher module? And the answer is I think so. But that's just not the way I work. You guys should know that by now. When I was searching for how to fix this, I came across the cheap cut this lead fix, and didn't find out till later that that won't work for my Jeep. And well, come on. When I found that out, I also found this fix. And I thought, you know what? That looks like the perfect thing for me to cover in a video for you guys. So here we are, modifying the flasher relay in my Jeep. Okay, that's going to be a problem if that doesn't get into the joint. There we go. Let me verify this is the right connection point before I solder it. I think it is. Yep. So we're up at this upper one here now. Looks like the battery's getting low on the camera. I better hurry this up, huh? Okay, now like I mentioned, I want to hot glue this guy in place. So I'm going to turn you off while I heat up the hot glue gun. If you're wondering, is hot glue safe for this? I can say that I have done this plenty. I've done this plenty of times before with other projects, and it's never been a problem. Hot glue is essentially like a form of rubber. Rubber's not a conductor. Therefore, this should not be a problem. What I do want is enough room to get to the leads. Hot glue's not going to work right there. Pick that back out. The relay doesn't get past the base of this relay. So I can't put it right there. The thing I want to avoid is this thing moving around in here, because wire doesn't really like moving around. It'll eventually break its connection if it moves too much. I mean, vibration will even do it over time. Not really a good thing. That should do. Okay, so the battery in the camera died while I was soldering, and I don't even know how much you got. So I basically have all three of my leads connected, my jumper in place. I don't know if the camera's showing you all that well or not. I got to put this capacitor back in. That shouldn't be hard. These came out okay. Turned out that I didn't make quite long enough of a lead here, but it looks fine. Kind of the same deal there, but in all, I think it's not so bad. I hope. So yeah, I'm going to put the camera back on charge because it's going to die any second, and then hopefully I'll have this together and show you putting it in the Jeep. Alright folks, I'm all smiles for a reason. I just got the capacitor resoldered, snapped the case back on, which by the way, snapping it back on was about as hard as snapping it off was, which I did get a video of. I found that putting the case on the table and sliding it all back in and pressing down with my thumbs was the way to get it done. It's already back in the Jeep. I'm probably going to put some tape on it like there was when it was removed. Haven't done that yet, but check it out. Proper frequency. You see the brake light going? And check it out. Awesome sauce. So, there you go. If you've installed LED taillights and you need to fix the hyperflash problem and you don't want to go out and buy a, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, whatever they cost, dollar new relay, which I, by the way, had trouble finding, there's how to modify one. Now, it did take some skill with a soldering iron. It did take being unafraid of basically deconstructing and reconstructing the existing factory relay, but at the end of the day, it worked out. If you know someone that can solder, maybe they can do it for you. All you need to do is get that relay out, and I'll put a link to Stu Off-Road's how-to in the description of this video. And well, basically, there you have it. Proof's in the pudding. It wasn't all that hard. Took me maybe an hour, hour and a half to get it done. Long enough that my camera died while I was recording it. But in all, not terribly difficult. And, you know, worked out pretty well. Cheap. The part, I think, was $2. I think it was under $2. Shipping on it cost more than the dang relay. It was like $10 in shipping, which was kind of ridiculous. Maybe not 10, 8, $5, something like that. I think the total was about $8. So, yeah, it's not terribly expensive. Took me a little bit of time, of course, to get it wired up, which you saw in the video. Not much else to say. It worked. Awesome. So, thanks for watching. I promise, I hope, next weekend I'm going to get started on this bumper. Right now, I'm going to go get myself some tea and relax and try to beat whatever cold's eating at me because, well, I have jury duty tomorrow. Maybe I can get out of it if I'm sick enough. Maybe I should have worked on the bumper. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Hey you! You stuck around to the end of the video. You're awesome! You should probably hit the subscribe link up over here and make sure you hit the notification bell. Otherwise, YouTube's not going to actually tell you when I produce something new. You can also support me via Patreon by clicking the link up over here. And if you like this video, you should probably check out the recommended content that's coming up down over here. If you want merch like I'm wearing right here, you should go to SWBCrawler.com and check out my shirts and hats and whatever else I've got for sale. Thanks for watching.